Thank you. I am so happy to be here, so pleased as I look out in the audience to see a lot of familiar faces, but also to be here to enthusiastically endorse my friend, Terry McAuliffe, to be your next governor. I thought hard about what I wanted to say to Virginians today. I've been out of politics for a few years now. And I've had a chance to think a lot about what makes our country so great. What kind of leadership is required to keep it great? Start by sharing a little bit with you about Terry and Dorothy, because Bill and I have been fortunate to call them our friends, our very close friends, for many years now. We've been in so many different situations together. We have watched Terry and Dorothy build and raise a family with 5 extraordinary children. We've gotten to know those children, Dory and Jack and Mary and Sally and Peter. We have vacationed with them. They have been in and out of our lives as long as they've been alive. It says a lot about a person, about the values that they pass on to the next generation. Terry's family is both his first love and his greatest accomplishment. Nothing is more important, and that's just the kind of man he is. Now, it's also because he's married to an exceptional woman. She is a champion not only for her 5 children, but for all children. And she will bring both passion and compassion back to Richmond. And so, you ask yourself, when you come to a political event like this and you see people standing up on the stage, what really brought them to this point? Well, I've also known Terry's parents and his brothers, and I've seen the values that he was raised with. He grew up in a middle-class family. He was taught about the dignity of work and the importance of looking out for each other. He started his first business at the age of 14 because he knew he was going to have to put himself through school. He's lived those values, and boy, does he love people. You know, he's not one of these public personas that is great when the lights are on and then different when they're off. What you see is truly what he is all the time. And he cares deeply about not only what happens to his own family and friends, but to everyone. He has maybe the biggest heart and the most open mind of anyone you'll ever meet. Terry has always been there for me, and I'm pleased to be here for him. There are times when none of us can sit on the sidelines. And right now, here in Virginia, is one of those times. I don't have to tell you, I hope, that the whole country is watching this election. Watching to see whether the voters of Virginia lead the way of turning from divisive politics, getting back to common sense and common ground. Also, watching to see if it's possible to move toward a new economy that works for everyone and also provides good jobs with good benefits for everyone, and where equal work really does mean equal pay for everyone. The whole country is watching to see if the rights of women and girls will be respected, especially over our own bodies and our health care. So, even if I had never met Terry and Dorothy, even if I didn't know him to be a man of uncommon generosity and goodness, I would still be supporting him for your governor, because I believe that Terry has what it takes to lead Virginia forward in this rapidly changing world. Now, I've spent 4 years traveling across the globe, a great honor and privilege to represent all of you. And I have learned even more about what it takes to make good decisions, what it takes to bring people together, to build the kind of future that we all want for our children and grandchildren. I've seen leaders who are divisive, and I've seen leaders who are unifiers. I've seen leaders who are exclusive, and I've seen leaders who are inclusive. Now, recently in Washington, unfortunately, we have seen examples of the wrong kind of leadership. When politicians choose scorched earth over common ground, when they operate in what I call the evidence-free zone, with ideology trumping everything else, we've seen that families in Virginia and across the country have felt the consequences. Workers furloughed, businesses suffering, children thrown out of Head Start, poor mothers worried they won't get the help they need to buy formula and food for their babies. That is not the kind of leadership we need in Virginia and America today. Virginia has a history of getting it right, of electing problem-solving governors like Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, who rolled up their sleeves. You know so well that both Mark and Tim reached across the aisle, focused on getting answers to the questions that Virginians had. That is the kind of leader Terry is. That is the kind of governor he will be. For example, when Governor McDonnell worked with the legislature to make historic investments in transportation that are vital to Virginia's future, Terry was there supporting him and the legislature every step of the way. Now, some would say, well, why'd you do that? He's a Republican governor. It's a Republican legislature. Real simple answer. It was the right thing to do, and Terry McAuliffe did it. And Terry has focused his campaign on policies that will make Virginia the most welcoming place in America for people who want to live, work, and raise a family. Not just for some, but for all. For women, for immigrants, for people of every race, religion, and sexual orientation. Terry will work to extend pre-K for our kids because early learning will help them succeed in school and in life. And by the way, let's give another hand to our teachers like Kelly, who work so hard every day because they believe in our kids. Terry has visited all 23 community colleges in Virginia because he knows that our young people and our not so young people need skills and jobs that allow them to compete in the global economy. He has a vision for the Commonwealth. He understands how to create jobs, how to grow the economy, and how to make people feel good about the future. And you can be sure of this. Terry will do what is right for the women of Virginia. He will stand up against attempts to restrict women's health choices and to ban common forms of birth control. You will not have to worry about that with Terry McAuliffe in the governor's office. McAuliffe does not have a discriminatory bone in his body. He will work to stop efforts to discriminate against people for who they love. It is not just the right thing to do, it is also the smart thing to do. Because if Virginia wants to keep attracting the best minds and businesses from across the world, openness and tolerance are essential. They are the building blocks for a creative, dynamic, and diverse economy. So I guess you would expect me to say this, but I believe it with all my heart. Terry is running for governor for the right reasons, to help all our kids have the same opportunities to succeed that he had. When you think about why people run for office in these times, if it's only about yourself, if it's only about you wanting to get a job and get the perks that go with it and, you know, have people stand up when you come into a room, that's not enough anymore because it's hard. Politics is hard, as the lieutenant governor and attorney general candidates know, because people are wary. They're wondering, can I give this person my vote and will he then remember me? If I vote for him or her, will they do what I heard them say they will do? Will they get diverted by big money or ideology or power, or will they remember who put them into office? I can tell you, you don't have to worry about that with Terry McAuliffe. He wants to give every person, especially every boy and girl in this Commonwealth, the chance to grow up and fulfill his or her God-given potential. He will work around the clock. You will never find a more energetic chief executive. There isn't anyone who will bring more enthusiasm to the task of helping you have the kind of life you're fighting for every single day, for yourself and for your family. He will be a 24/7 governor for Virginia. So we're coming down to the home stretch. I've been in a lot of elections. That at the end of the day, it all comes down to who takes the trouble to show up and vote. Now, there was an article today in the Washington Post which quoted a young woman who was asked about this election, and basically her answer was, well, I only vote in the presidential elections. Well, that's just not enough anymore. When you think about all the damage that can be done in a state, I hope each and every one of you will take it on as a personal mission to encourage the people you work with, you go to school with, you live next door to, you meet in the supermarket, wherever you are. Encourage people to vote and recognize what is at stake in this upcoming election. You know, Terry held up this card, the Get Out the Vote card. And Dorothy told me that many of you have already filled it out 3 or 4 times. But fill it out again, and those of you who haven't, fill it out for the first time so that you can be part of these final days, this push to make sure everybody who should vote for Terry's values, for Terry's plans for the Commonwealth will do so. Now, I love saying Commonwealth because, you know, that's an old word. And it is rooted in the idea that the common good should come before our personal or political interests. An old-fashioned idea, but a really important value. It's what our founders, so many of them from right here in Virginia, believed was the soul of the American experiment. You know, when Alexis de Tocqueville visited our country 200 years ago, he marveled at the way Americans came together, how we volunteer, how we help one another. He called it, in a memorable phrase, our habits of the heart. I don't think there's any other people in all of history or anywhere on the globe today who have those habits. But habits are no good if you don't exercise them. Habits are no good if they atrophy because of cynicism about what we can do together. I have great confidence in what is available for each of us to do to contribute to the Commonwealth and to the country that we love. Every one of us has benefited by being given the fruits of the labors of so many people who came before. We cannot let those who do not believe in America's progress hijack this great experiment and substitute for the habits of the heart suspicion, hatred, anger, anxiety, and insecurity. That's not who we are as a people. Terry McAuliffe has some of the finest habits of the heart of anyone I've ever met. It's what makes Terry the man he is, and with your hard work and your help, it is what will make him a great governor. Supporting and voting for Terry McAuliffe will make you proud of yourselves, of this Commonwealth, and yes, of our country, because we will have confidence and optimism back in lead for all the values and ideas that can be generated to create the kind of future that the children that we love and cherish deserve. So everybody, please, let's get out and get that vote on November the 5th.